we're just about to talk about the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's talk about the good news first. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is back, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Chubb, I don't care if he carried it, only got 22 yards. He got a touchdown, and that made me very, very happy because I love Nick Chubb.
Yeah, everybody rooting for Nick.
Everybody's rooting for Nick Chubb. So that's the bit of good news. So that's something, right? Perna?
Yeah. Who's got more forehead?
I mean, I don't got 5, but again, I got big hands.
Yeah, I have small hands.
Yeah, right? Well, yeah, so then that... Okay. We'll figure this out.
God gave me small hands to make my wiener look bigger.
So,
Never forget, I'm the king of chess.
That's true. It's true. Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles, so he is out for the season. So that is all done now.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, Deshaun Watson was actually playing pretty solid in this game. 15 for 17, 128 yards, sacked twice already, but was having like at least an efficient football game, which is something that you really haven't seen from Deshaun Watson. And now it's kind of like, okay, well, what the hell do the Browns do? Because if Nick Chubb can get healthier and healthier as the season goes along and they can kind of lean on that run game, they're currently sitting at 1-6. So it's getting late in Cleveland real quick.
Yeah.
They lose a couple more games, then their playoff shots are already over. So I feel like Winston is going to have to get thrown in, right? And it's like,
I mean,
all
he
right,
played in this game.
So throw him in there and say, hey, let's see what we got.
They had 3 QBs out there. Yeah, they're going to take a look at who's going to start this week. I don't know who you go with. I don't really care at this point. The Browns are going to be probably in a position to draft a quarterback, so that'll be interesting. A lot was made about fans booing when Deshaun Watson went down.
Yes.
But isn't that better than cheering? What if they're booing that he's hurt, Tom? I think I'd rather hear boos when I'm hurt because people are, at least in my head, I'd be like, they're booing that I got hurt.
When he was getting carted off, they were cheering. Yeah.
They were cheering when he was on the cart?
Yes.
But that's when you cheer because you're like, oh, you know, like they do the cheer when they're getting off the field, even though they're still really hurt. You're just, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that was the implication there, Perna. I don't think that was the intention.
I don't know.
Well, so Myles Garrett got up at the post game and was basically like, he's done everything right, throughout college and the pros, and all this stuff. And I was explaining this yesterday because I'm not the reaction police, and I feel like, I am not I don't cheer for injuries. It's just because of people, what have you. And as I said yesterday, I was very content just watching Deshaun Watson suck and just be terrible and waste the money and waste the draft picks and just be like, there you go. He gets hurt, and I feel like, okay, his season's done. But as a team and as an organization, you're still just like, bro, what the hell? Like, okay, you're sitting at 1-6. Things are not going well. And you lose one more game, you're probably not going to go to the playoffs, right? Yeah. Maybe 2 if we're being nice. But the Browns' schedule right now, they're going up against the Ravens next week. Then they got the Chargers. That'll be a tough game. And then they got the Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers again, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, and then Ravens. So I don't think that the Cleveland Browns are making the playoffs. I don't think that's a hot take. And I know it's only week 7, but we're about to enter a very real world within the next 3 or 4 weeks where the Browns are already not going to make it. We know they're not going to make it. And it's like, what do you do for the rest of the season? You have to pay Deshaun Watson all this money still. And like you said, you could draft a quarterback. But, dude, are we going to start to see people lose their jobs, in Cleveland? Because this trade, and we knew it was bad last year. We knew it was probably going to be bad when it started. But this trade is going to go down as one of the worst in NFL history. And that I know that gets thrown around a lot. And people go, oh, the Russell Wilson trade, doesn't sniff this.
No.
Russell Wilson trade's bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just trying to preserve Perna's sanity. That's been gone. But the Deshaun Watson, the capital, the PR damage, the amount of money that was spent on Deshaun Watson, especially the performance that you got on the field, and now this is the likely end of that. Talk about a complete and total disaster for the Cleveland Browns. That's going to set them back unless they can draft a franchise quarterback, and he is right out of the gate just amazing and is able to lead them to the promised land. Holy crap. This is a catastrophe for Cleveland. And you talk about the goodwill with the fans, that's gone. Like, that is just gone. So, and now you're talking about building your new stadium and all that stuff. It's just, dude, it's ugly. I empathize with a lot of Cleveland Browns fans because it's a crappy situation, dude. It's not good. Fans were not happy about it. I don't want to generalize, but a good amount of fans were not happy about it when the trade went down. And now for this to blow up in your face, yeah, it's not good. It's not.
Yeah,
Trent Baalke needs to go.
You know, if Deshaun Watson was cut, and they can't cut him, but if he was cut, there's not another team in the league who's going to sign him. Like, Russell Wilson was signed by the Steelers. Russell Wilson came out and actually played a good game of football last night. Here's what's weird to me, okay? And I listened to Myles Garrett defend, Deshaun Watson. And I get, like, that's what teammates do for each other.
Sure.
And, Garrett said people in glass houses, and he was like, I'm not perfect. And of course, as he's saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, he did try to murder Mason Rudolph one time. He tried to kill him
one time.
But like, Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb are the two highlights of the Browns roster. Those are two guys Browns fans love. Those are two guys fans from other teams respect. And I have great respect for Myles Garrett. I don't know if we need to bend over to backwards to defend Deshaun Watson and how the situation was handled by the fans on the field. And maybe I would feel a little different about Myles Garrett defending him if, I don't know, one of the Browns players when they traded for Watson was like, you know what? I'm not a fan of my team trading for a guy facing 20 plus lawsuits for varying degrees of sexual misconduct and assault. Maybe if one of those guys, took their moral high ground when the trade went down, I would care a little bit more about like them, saying it then. But it's just a bizarre situation.
But
I think like the point he makes, like, yeah, don't boo injuries. I think most people agree with that. When you're at a game, though,
true, sir.
There's a different mentality in sports games. So it was weird. It's like one of those things you see Watson go down, and you know how a lot of people are feeling about that.
Well,
it doesn't make it right, but a lot of people are feeling good that he's not going to have to be their quarterback anymore.
Sure, and I think that you kind of touched on this there, and I mentioned this on the live stream yesterday. There's going to be a difference between how players react and fans react, right? Sure. Because they know each other on a different level on top of that. Yeah, there's a huge difference between in the locker room and outside the locker room, obviously. And I think that you have the fans who can only react based off of the information that they're given, based off of everything that their team and franchise has put them through as fans. And I'm not talking about just these last few years. But then all that to happen, then the Baker Mayfield thing happens, then the Deshaun Watson trade happens. And it's like, no, the reason we're doing this, the reason that we're going and getting this guy and spending all this money and all this draft capital and ruining a bunch of goodwill with the fans is because this is going to make us a Super Bowl team. Because if you look at it from the perspective of what the Browns roster was, that great defense, they had a good O-line, they had a good run game, they had some weapons, they got Amari Cooper, that Deshaun Watson, if he was Houston Texans Deshaun Watson, yeah, they can win a Super Bowl. I said earlier this season, they have Jared Goff, their Super Bowl contender. That looks real good right now. But now it's a matter of you traded away Amari Cooper. The offense is already not doing great. And yeah, this is just where it ends. So like, I understand where the fans are coming from 1,000,000,000%, because they're like, I didn't want this. 100% not. And it's more than just football, right? It's stuff that's coming from way outside of football that's now being dragged into this. So yeah, I think it's a situation where now Cleveland is screwed until hopefully they better pray that they hit a home run on their draft, because if they don't, dude, Yeah, I mean they wasted a really talented roster.
Yeah, they have to keep Watson. They can draft a quarterback and they can play the rookie quarterback.
It's true, Kevin.
There's just not much they can do about Watson. So he's got to be there.